Okay, so today we're going to be looking at the share settings in some of the Google apps that we have available to us in the TCDSB. The first ones I'm going to go over via Google Docs, and the reason I'm doing that is because they share settings and the way that it looks and the way that it behaves are the same for Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, and for Jamboard. So I'll go through it, as I say, from a Google Doc, but just rest assured that the procedure for sharing and the way it looks will look the same on those four apps. So I'm sitting here on a Google Doc. I've given it a name and a title and a little short sentence there. And when I'm ready to share this document with either colleagues or students or whoever you want to share it with, I'm simply going to go up to the top right-hand side of my screen, and I'm going to click on Share. Notice that as I hover over that Share button, it's saying already that it's private only to me. So nobody can see this document as it stands right now. So I'm going to click on that Share button. And here I am, and this is sort of my sharing window, if you will, where I can set the parameters for this particular document. Again, right now, I am the only one that sees it. I am the owner of the document, which means I created it. Down here below where it says Get Link is where you want to sort of focus your gaze first. And it will tell you what permissions are presently set on the document. And again, this applies to also Sheets, Slides, and for Jamboard. So right now it says it's restricted. So it doesn't mean that nobody can ever see it. It simply says that as of right now, nobody else will see it. If I wanted to add somebody to this list of people who would not be then restricted and have access to the document, I can simply click there and then share it with a colleague or something like that. In this case, that's my colleague Juliana. So I could send it to her this way. I have the choice as to whether or not I want her to be notified. I can add a message to it. So what will happen is it'll send a notification to her email address, and it will include the message if I choose to send one. So just, I don't know, look this over. The other thing that I want to decide at this point is what kind of editing permissions do I want Julianne to have over this particular document? And my choices are she can be an editor, she can simply view the document without the ability to make any changes on it, or we can make her a commenter where she, again, can't make changes to the document itself or the text itself, but she can certainly add comments. So that's a good one when you're collaborating. When you're sharing with students, these are important considerations because if you make students editors, just be aware that they will be able to then edit whatever text is on that particular document. So just be sensitive to that because, again, an important consideration when it comes to what you want done to this particular document. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with all of that. In fact, I'm just going to cancel out of there so that Juliana doesn't get a notification in her email. Let's go back over to the window here. So what would happen is if I added somebody there, I could then simply copy this link using the copy link button here. It'll generate a URL, and I would simply email that to somebody, and they would have access to this particular document then, okay? In Juliana's case, if I send a notification to her email, she can actually launch the document right from her email. Okay, so come back down to the Get Link again. So it says restricted, only people added can open with this link. Now it's asking me, do I want to change that? So I'm actually going to click on the blue text below that, and that's going to bring up some other options. So now what it's done is that has actually changed the permission to anybody in the TCDSB with the link can view this particular document, okay? So that's if you were sharing something with students or like an assignment, let's say, you weren't using Google Classroom, you could email it directly to them using the URL that's generated by the copy link command. The other thing that you can do, just before I go any further, is if you go into the advanced settings, it'll actually allow you to have people search for it. I usually don't engage that, so just come back to that for a second. And then the other thing that you can do here is you can, again, make them commenters or editors. Just be aware that if you're sharing with students, for instance, and you make them all editors and you send them the link from the copy link command, not only will they be able to edit that document, but they'll be editing the same document. So you might have 25 students editing a single Google Doc, which probably isn't necessarily what you want. This setup right here that I've done it, so it's now, TCDSB members with the link can view, is going to be the most common setting you're going to use. In fact, I would say, especially when you're dealing with students, you would be using that probably 90% of the time, because that's what we want. And we want the students to be logged into their TCDSB accounts in order to access your documents for privacy considerations, okay, and security considerations. Let's go back in here just to kind of take another look at it here. The last option here, so again, restricted is where I add people and only they will have access to the document. Anyone within the domain, so the TCDSB is what I just explained. So maybe that's how you would approach it if you were sharing a document with a class of students. And then the last one is anyone with the link. And what that does is it broadens the group of people that you're going to be sharing with. So in this case, I'm going to leave it as viewer. And what that does is, just hypothetically, if you were going to be sharing something with a parent group, for instance, who don't have TCDSB logins, that would be the approach you would take. So anyone with the link will again not require a sign-in to a TCDSB Google page. So that's again an important consideration. Again, I'm just going to reiterate that the most common setup is going to be anyone in the TCDSB with this link can view. As I say, that's going to probably be sort of 90% of the times you use that. That's what you're going to be doing. And then once you're done, then you're good to go. And if you ever wanted to share it or get that link, you can simply go back into your share settings, copy the link there. It's copied to your clipboard, and then you can draft your email or whatever it is, post it to a website or to a Google Classroom or what have you. Okay, that's the share settings. Hope it helps.